What's up, gang? I'm PoolNoodleX, and today I'm bringing you 7 of the absolute best ladder starters for Diablo 2 Resurrected. The gear that I used on all of these are pieces and rune words that you'll most likely find or make on your first playthrough, like Spirit Sword, Lore Helm, Stealth Armor, random MF Gloves unless you're an Amazon, random rings and belts, boots with either run speed, magic find, or resistances, a Spirit Shield, although you might not get lucky enough to find one on your way through, but you'll definitely pick one up in Hell Cows when you get there, and lastly, a random class skill Emmy that you're sure to find along the way. So these aren't in any particular order. So without too much more of a delay, let's get into it. To kick things off, we have the CE Skelly Necro. Now, as a lot of you know, this may be my least favorite build on this fucking planet, but there's no doubt that it's one of the strongest abilities in the entire game. It is a little slow to start each game, as you have to first summon your 69 Skellies before you head to your desired farming area, but once you do, there's not a whole lot that can stop this build. Since Corpse Explosion is both physical and fire damage, you can really farm almost anywhere you want, but to start, I would recommend cows due to their density and predictability, and then move on to Chaos Sanctuary as you get more geared. You can jump into any of the other level 85 areas if you so please, but Chaos is never really a bad move. Number 2 on the list is the Lightning Fury Charge Strike Javazon. So this one is both amazing and annoying at the same time. You should be able to get your hands on some plus skill javs on your journey through your first playthrough, but the problem is that there's still a very finite quantity to them. I know they're attempting to fix this right now, but they're kind of missing the mark. This just means you'll have to go to town rather often to repair them until you upgrade to something like Titans later on. This only hinders your speed a little bit, but I unfortunately find that super annoying. That aside though, this build's ability to clear cow packs in 2 to 3 throws is almost unparalleled. The other unfortunate thing about this one is that without an Infinity Mercenary, you're strapped to a very select few non-light immune areas. This means that you'll have to rely on Jab and your Mercenary to handle any light immunes you come across if you end up running something like Chaos. Some of that, however, can be resolved by a lower resist wand, and you do kill bosses with Charge Strike in just a few pokes. So this build still kicks ass. Number 3 on this list is either going to be the Hydra Orb or the Blizzard Orb Sorceress. Lightning is of course good, but these two are just better for starting out in my opinion. The one I want to highlight the most is the Hydra Orb SORC, as this is the one that I'll be starting this season with. What's fantastic about this build is that since you do cold and fire damage, you have a lot more options when it comes to farming. I personally will be mainly running Hell Mephisto, as well as farming Terror Keys from Countess and Destruction Keys from Neelathak. Alternatively, for area level 85 zones, I could of course do Mausoleum in Act 1, Ancient Tunnels in Act 2, and then one of the newest level 85 areas being the Stony Tomb, also in Act 2. Hydra, by the way, is still buffed on this character since there's still no cooldown. I know many people are saying it got re-nerfed, but it really didn't. For the 4th one on the list, this won't surprise many of you, but we have the Hammer Paladin. So up until now, I did not realize just how much damage this holy motherfucker can do. With just 6 to all skills, he's pumping out justice in the form of 5,700 magic damage. Magic damage meaning that this build can farm almost literally anything in all of Diablo 2, and it can most likely do it all naked. Right out the gate, this guy is capable of knocking out cows with 3 to 4 casts, making this an extremely efficient farmer. On top of that, there's nothing in Chaos Sanctuary that's magic immune, so you have an easy and dense zone that happens to have one of the primeval bosses to farm as well. I always knew this build was super OP, but I don't think I ever realized just how OP that was. The 5th one on this list is none other than the Lightning Trap Assassin. For this build, you can actually get either 2 to Assassin skills or 3 to Trap Claws from Anya in Hell Act 5, but for the sake of consistency, I will still be using 2 spirits here. So there are a lot of ways to build the Trapper, but my favorite is to max Lightning with its 2 synergies, 1 point into Death Sentry, and then max Fire Blast. All remaining points go to Burst of Speed, since traps are based off your attack speed and not FCR. The Trap Assassin has a whole lot of farming zones in the palm of their hand, since Death Sentry uses Corpse Explosion at up to 80% damage. Right out of Hell, you should be able to farm cows without literally any issues at all, as well as all 3 different Uber keys. The Trap Assassin is one of the best farmers for Neelathak because you can drop his entire room with just a few trap casts while you run around the corpse landmines. Number 6 on this list is one that I genuinely think is one of the new best builds, and that is the Fire Druid. With the removal of the shared cooldown on all of their abilities, the Fire Druid is able to absolutely lay waste to almost every area in all of Diablo 2. This is mostly due to the buffs to the physical aspects of this build, with Boulders and Volcano being castable side by side, and Armageddon's physical part being greatly increased. Early on, this build has no issues cooking grass-fed beef at 400 degrees, flipping each minute for grill marks, of course, but if you find yourself getting bored of that, you can take yourself over to the non-fire immune level 85 zones, which include the Old Mausoleum by Bloodraven, and now Stony Tomb, as mentioned in my previous email. I had actually chosen Fire Druid as my season starter, but ended up switching to SORC due to being being able to farm keys quicker with Telly. Alright, so number 7 would have been some form of barbarian if I could bring myself to put one on here, but in my opinion they are very difficult to start out solo unless you're like Berserk or something. I tried it with Unbending Will and Colossus Blade and a couple other pieces, but really just wasn't there. If you have friends to play with, you could at least start as a Shouter for support damage or Whirlwind for the funsies, but really I would recommend collecting a bit of currency before jumping into a barbarian. If you do have any info about the versions of barbarians that farm places like Pits and Travincal, please feel free to let us know. So do me a favor, subscribe if you haven't already and like this video so more people can see it, because I know there's a huge portion of the community who can benefit from one part of this or the other. I stream all of my leveling, farming, and Uber operations live on Twitch quite a few times a week, so if you're looking for some live interaction and entertainment, make sure you follow from the link in the description down below. There will be a few other helpful links, like one to the Noodle Gang Discord, where a lot of us have been hanging out lately, so don't be a stranger and come on in. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Happy grinding, travelers, and we'll see you next week.